Talk about the border a little bit closer. Joining us now, Texas Congressman Fallon is here, member of the House Armed Services Committee and retired U.S. Air Force captain. Congressman Fallon, great to have you in with us today.
Thanks, Bianca. How are you? Happy New Year.
Well, we're doing pretty good. I mean, we know that obviously this big visit to the border seems to have netted nothing. This despite obviously Governor Abbott handing him that letter that was released to the media, and now reports, Congressman Fallon, that Biden's not reading this letter. Many people wouldn't be surprised because many people don't think he clearly wants to do anything about the porous southern border. But here we have an opportunity where he's sitting in Mexico City today with the president. Tell us about the optics you have here and what you're feeling as your constituents in Texas are trying to control the flow at the border.
Well, Bianca, I think the key word that you just said was optics. And unfortunately, it looks like Joe Biden's visit to the border was just that. It wasn't about taking substantive actions. So think about this. He's been president for nearly 730 days. It's about 17,500 hours. And Bianca, he was on the border for 3 of them. What he should have insisted on was not a sanitized view of the border, but what's actually going on. He should have talked to state troopers and local law enforcement and local landowners. How about victims of sexual trafficking and human smuggling? Talk to the migrants. Figure out what's really going on, and the DEA, because drugs are such a a huge problem, and he didn't do any of that, unfortunately.
No, he didn't, and unfortunately now he can say he's gone to the border, and he can use that if there is a potential 2024 campaign bid. At the end of the day, though, this is an issue where now we have a GOP-controlled House. Talk of impeaching Mayorkas, but will we actually see any real action, Congressman Fallon?
Well, Bianca, you just mentioned about Joe Biden. Yes, I think when he visited the border yesterday, he indicated that he is definitely running for president because that's what it was about, defending himself in a presidential debate in October of 24. As far as Alejandro Mayorkas, our office has filed articles of impeachment on him precisely because he has lied to the American people and he has lied to Congress under oath. He's shown nothing but a gross dereliction of duty, and it's time to throw him out of office.
That is you just filed that paperwork today, the first day of 118th Congress there, Congressman. We're getting that in there.
Kind of buried the lead on us, Congressman.
Yeah.
You come on our show, you got to come out of the gate with that. You got to come out of the gate with that. I'm just getting the email now.
John, it's a Newsmax exclusive.
Yeah, well, no, tell us about, I mean, this has been talked about among your colleagues for a long time. We were all waiting for something like this to happen as you guys were picking a new House Speaker last week. Tell us about why now with this and what specifically you think is the issue that will lead to an impeachment for Alejandro Mayorkas.
John, he said under oath in 2021 and in 2022 that the border was secure. So let's take the one those remarks in 21. But then, unfortunately, after he testified under oath in Congress that the border was secure, he got caught on an open mic shortly thereafter saying the border was chaos. So he clearly knew the truth and willfully misled Congress and thereby, and by extension, the American people. There have been 160 countries represented by people crossing the border illegally. 98 folks on the terrorist watch list have been apprehended. 5 million people have crossed the border illegally under his watch. And John, we had never had a month with over 200,000 illegal border crossers. We've had 8 months in a row under Joe Biden.
But he says the same thing that the vice president said before him when she was our border czar, and the same thing that President Biden said. Do you believe that Alejandro Mayorkas is saying this because he actually believes it, or he's saying this because he's getting pressure from the top of the administration to say so?
Well, yeah, John, it's a great question. It's a fair one. If you say under oath that the border's secure, and then you're caught on a hot mic, and when you didn't know that you were being heard that the border was chaos, you're clearly lying in one of those two instances. Right. And I think it's the former rather than the latter, unfortunately. And so we've got to hold him to account because ultimately, and then also, by the way, John, what about Whipgate, where the Haitian migrants were being stymied by Border Patrol agents? They were not being whipped.
I think I would, and a lot of people would, I think, relish the opportunity to see these Border Patrol agents come before Congress and testify about the realities that they were dealing with on that day and the lack of support that they get from the Biden administration and how they were thrown under the bus for optics. Again, going back to what we talked about at the very beginning of this interview.
But isn't this about the simple, you have a duty, it's a dereliction of duty, and it is a national security issue when we're dealing with cartels, which possibly could be, terrorist organizations coming through the border? Isn't that at the heart of it?
Yeah, Bianca, the Mexican drug cartels are terrorist organizations, and this is asymmetrical warfare. We lost 297 Americans every day during World War II. We lost 293 Americans every day due to opioid overdoses in 2021. 80,000 of the 107,000 we lost were fentanyl overdoses. Most of that fentanyl is produced in China, and we have a president that doesn't even have the guts to bring the topic up when he talks to Xi Jinping.
So it seems like it's black and white. If there's a duty to secure the border and it's not being done, this should be pretty cut and dry, Congressman Fallon.
Now, Bianca, I completely agree, particularly when, again, Alan Mayorkas is not telling the truth and he's purged himself. He's not fit for office and he needs to be removed forthwith.
And real quick, I just want to get your reaction to President Biden talking about the importance of discussing climate initiatives and green energy production when he's sitting there in Mexico and there's a full-blown drug war playing out right on the Mexican border with the Sinaloa cartel.
And he's talking about it might be hot in Mexico. Well, it's been hot in Mexico for millions of years, Mr. Biden. We're talking about the drug. Let's talk brass tacks, because that's what Newsmax does. Tells the unvarnished truth. Mexico is a de facto narco state. We need to secure our southern border. We don't even know who these 5 million people are that are coming across the border. And nobody talks about the people that are legally waiting in line, of which there's almost 4 million of those folks. So let's do the right thing. Let's do the American thing. And let's keep the American people safe. Because if you're not safe, then you're not free.
It is hot in certain parts of Mexico, but not where the president is.
I don't think they can take the heat, though, here.
They have a very high elevation in Mexico City, so it's quite temperate.
Congressman Fallon filing articles of impeachment against Alejandro Mayorkas and joining us today with that exclusive development. We certainly appreciate it, Congressman. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Bianca. Bye, John. God bless.
Good to see you, Congressman.
Thank you.